What's up, guys? Skip Africanus here. Welcome back to another Cartridge of the Week episode. This week featuring what has been called the poor man's 10mm, or at least called that if you were a hand loader anyways, the 400 Corbon. Now, before we get into the history, use, and all that stuff of this rather neat round, we'll first do what we always do and take a look at the head stamp, which on the top you can see 400, and right below it 2 stars with Cor-Bon on the bottom. The 400 Corbon standing for the caliber, and the stars I want to say are for Starline Brass, as they're always the ones to have 2 closed stars on their casings. However, this loaded cartridge did come out of a box of ammo made from Underwood ammo, so it could be that Underwood either used Starline Brass for their ammo, or their head stamps just look fairly similar. Now to add, this particular example is a 150 grain loading. Now the 400 Corbon was developed by Peter Pye and would be released in 1997 by Corbon. The cartridge was essentially designed to be a 10mm for 45 ACP platform guns, offering similar ballistic performance, however at a much lower pressure range. Already, this provided a pro against standard 10mm, as one issue frequently had with 10mm conversions was the cracking of frames due to the much more potent energy of the 10mm auto. Another benefit gained from the cartridge that can be seen from its nickname, the poor man's 10mm, was the ease at which one could convert their already existing guns to this new 10mm caliber. Rather than have to buy a whole nother pistol for it like one would with the 10mm auto, conversion was most of the times as simple as a barrel and spring swap. Given the 45 ACP parent case, original 45 ACP magazines and the rest could all be reliably used without issue, or at least for the most part. From reading on forums, there does appear to be some weird little quirks with this cartridge. Like, for instance, supposedly they aren't a fan of double-stacked magazines. And one thing that is rather cartridge-specific, at least when chambered specifically in 1911 pattern guns, is feed ramp case setback. Now, this is something that for the most part is encountered at least to the tiniest bit of degree on all guns. And what this is the bullet getting pushed back as it hits the feed ramp during the feeding process. Again, it is something that happens on all guns technically, though normally it's very tiny a bit setback. However, the 1911 in particular can be a little bit violent with it, and given the 400 Corbon has much less of the case gripping the bullet as a 45 ACP would, loose fitting can result in some rather extreme case setback, causing some rather unpleasant troubles. Although this is easily avoided with a good crimp. Now, one big thing with the development of the 400 Corbon was the ease of being able to handload ammunition, namely making the 400 Corbon case. It's not uncommon to take casings from one caliber and convert them for use in another. However, not all cartridge conversions are made equal, and some can be as easy as running your parent case through the specific caliber sizer you want, all the way to cutting the case and running it through multiple sizers, none of which are even for the caliber you're making in the first place. In the case of 400 Corbon, it is this first option. In the most basic of operation, all one needs to do is run a 45 ACP casing through a 400 Corbon sizer, and the casing is good to be loaded up. Now, there are some quirks, like sometimes needing to run it through a 45 ACP sizer first, or just being picky on which 45 ACP brass you wish to use, should you wish to load some hotter rounds, but in the most basic of sense, running a 45 ACP casing through a 400 Corbon sizer gives you the desired case. And this would prove to be really what would keep this caliber somewhat popular, at least more popular than it would have been had making casings been a more difficult task, as ammunition has always proven to be rather pricey and scarce, and this scarcity coupled with the general lack of demand for such a caliber would keep the 400 Corbon as a relatively obscure round, with it never really gaining much popularity from the time of its inception till now. The caliber, however, has not died, with certain select companies offering loaded ammunition, as well as some still making new barrels for 45 ACP handgun conversions. I will add to that last fact, however, that unfortunately a conversion barrel does not exist for the 45 ACP Beretta PX4 Storms. I most certainly look to see if it did. But anyways, all that being said, what exactly are the specs on the 400 Corbon? Well, as stated, the 400 Corbon uses a 45 ACP casing that has been necked down to accept .401 diameter bullets. Bullet weights tend to be in the 135 to 165 grain weight range, and experience velocities of around 1400 feet per second on the lighter loads and 1250 feet per second on the heavier loads. But anyways, I think that's going to do it for this week's Cartridge of the Week episode featuring the 400 Corbon. I hope y'all enjoyed the video as much as I personally enjoyed making it. I will see y'all next time.